Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today on this webinar, eTakeoff for Sage 100 Contractor Basic Estimating. One thing that I want to note here today is that we are going to go through some of the functionality of eTakeoff first, and then I will show you how it connects over to Sage 100 Contractor's Basic Estimating module. It is important to note here that eTakeoff does work with both Sage estimating, they call it for 300, and also 100's basic estimating module. So different kinds of connection there, but the same product for both estimating solutions. A little bit of housekeeping as well. If you guys have questions at any time during the webinar, feel free to use the Q&A chat in the Zoom browser here. And I'll try to get to questions at the end of the day today. We won't take the full hour most likely for the demonstration, but I want to have a few minutes at least for people to ask questions if needed. So with that, I'll just get into the product here today. So this is what eTakeoff looks like. So eTakeoff is built with that familiarity. A lot of folks use the Microsoft products. So you'll see at the top here, we have the ribbon with some tabs with different tools and so forth. You can also have quick tools down here in the sort of upper left, you can see there as well. eTakeoff works with quick keys or hotkeys as well for making even faster takeoff and so forth. The different ways that you can do takeoff and eTakeoff, you can do length, area, count, perimeter. eTakeoff uses what's called traces. So you'll see in my left hand pane here, I have a control panel 1 here, and I've got a couple of different areas there, different tools and so forth. So the traces are living right here, and those are built according to whatever I need to take off. And then they will then match over to either my takeoff in basic estimating for 100 or my Sage estimating database. A little bit of note on the UI as well. With eTakeoff, you can have multiple what they call control panels. So you see I have one on the left and one on the right. You can undock these as well and put them on multiple screens, just on one screen here today for our webinar purposes. You can also have a couple of other extra control panels, extra drawing windows to make it even easier for you to perform takeoff and view multiple pages at once if you'd like to. eTakeoff does work directly with PDF drawings, so there's no converting files to TIFF or some other file type. You just load your drawing set right in. You can either do individual drawings or you can do an entire set at one time. So in this particular project, I have in the lower left, you'll see all the drawings. I've got a 100-page document set in this project here. So moving into eTakeoff and some of the functionality. So at its very basic, we are tracing the drawings. You see I've got colors on this drawing already. These are my traces that match up over here, like I said, to your database and estimating. And you'll see as I click on some of this takeoff that I've done, to the right here, I've got what's called a quantity list and a measurement summary. So here I have some site paving and I've got my square footage there. With Sage 100 Contractor, you're simply getting quantities that are dynamically connected to the estimating spreadsheet. With Sage Estimating, the full-blown product, you're actually getting a much more detailed brought over. So it connects directly with the assemblies that are made up of all of those CSI format, for example, items that are in those assemblies. So there's much greater detail that can be brought over into Sage Estimating, and happy to talk about some of those differences later as well. So you'll see here my quantity list. I've actually built this out to have different kinds of paving thicknesses. So for instance, that's where maybe you might put in different detail with your takeoff if you're connecting, for instance, with a Sage estimating database. But I will go in and I'm going to go take a look at doing some more takeoff here on one of our blank plans. You'll notice in my control panel 1 here, I have a bird's eye view. So that will give you the ability to zoom in and out, see where you're at. You can pan over on your project from this screen as well, from that bird's eye view. So just another little kind of easy tool to use and see where you're at on your drawings if you're zoomed in closely and so forth. So doing some takeoff, let's just do some interior walls here. So I'm going to grab that trace, I'm clicking on it there, and I'm just going to trace a couple of these interior walls. There is polar mode as well here, so I can make sure my lines are straight. And I'll just do some quick tracing here. And then you can see to the right in my quantity list, I've got a length and I've got a perimeter here. My measurement summary as well associates with that wall type, and then my quantity length there as well. So very simple there, similar with area and count and so forth. Now, how does this quantity get over into Sage 100 Contractor? So I've got my Sage 100 Contractor estimate over here. And I've selected the wall type that I want to associate that takeoff with. And what I simply do here is in my 100 Contractor, I am going to grab this quantity cell here, click on it, right click, and then I'm going to say grab eTakeoff quantity. So I then select what I want to take over into estimating. I right click on that takeoff, and then I say return to estimating with quantity. So once I do that, one moment there. It brings over that quantity for that interior wall into estimating. You can easily also update quantities as well because there is a dynamic link between the two products. So you'll see as I right click again on that quantity cell, I can update a value from eTakeoff. I can even go back and view that eTakeoff source, or again, grab a different quantity from eTakeoff. So what happens if I want to change that quantity? What I can do is I will go back to eTakeoff, and I'm just going to go ahead and add some more walls into this particular takeoff. So I'm going to go just add a couple here. And you'll see in my measurement summary, it's counting up as I go. So it's adding more length to that particular count. And we'll just call it good for now. And let's go back and update our estimate. So I'm going to click on my estimate there. I'm going to go right click that quantity cell, and then I'm going to update this value from eTakeoff. And you'll see now I've got that new 180 linear foot there that matches what I've just taken off in eTakeoff. So very, very simple. Another functionality here is you can, if you had several items or assemblies you needed to update quantities with, you can actually do a mass quantity update as well instead of doing it individually. So that gives you another way to have a checks and balances just to ensure you have an updated quantification in your estimate. So back to eTakeoff functionality. So with eTakeoff, I have the ability, as I said, to read multiple PDF drawings in the document set here. I can also do overlays. I can bring in new revised drawings and so forth. So we can go take a look at that as well. I'll go over to another sheet here. So let me take a look at my interior elevations here. So you can see I've done some takeoff here. What I can do is I can compare to new drawing, and that is what allows me to bring in a revised drawing. And that's just a really nice ability to be able to, let's say, modify some existing takeoff without having to completely redo what I've already done. So all I do is I can go and pick, so I'm picking from my computer here. With eTakeoff, you can select drawings from either a central place on your server or your computer, or even you can connect to an online plan room. So I'm just going to go through and I'm going to grab, I have a revised drawing in here from an addenda that came out, and I'm going to select a line. So ability to adjust that drawing as it's brought in if you need to as well. And it will bring it in here. And what it'll do is it will temporarily show the overlay here of the two drawings. It'll make a good match with one of the drawings. We have several revisions on this drawing here. So I'll bring it in here. Let's align well there. So we'll hit OK. And then what it'll do is it'll bring back the original takeoff, and then it'll allow me to adjust. So I can just simply click on my existing takeoff. We need to make an adjustment around this revised countertop for the flooring and the cabinetry. So I can quickly add in new points there and complete my revision on that flooring. So pretty simple to do and easy to bring in other drawings. This page as well, I've set some different bounding boxes for different scale types. So with eTakeoff, you can take off at multiple scales on a drawing. So other old ways, you used to have to make copies of drawings if you had different scales on a page. This, you simply 2 clicks and you got a new bounding box with your new scale. Most of these drawings have the page globally set at 1/2 inch. So you can, one, set scales in this program globally throughout for the entire project. Then you can go at page by page, and then you can go vignette by vignette. So you'll see here now I've got a 6-inch tub detail here as well. So just gives you an idea of that capability. Scaling wise as well, you can calibrate to a known dimension on your drawing. So if you didn't have a scale set, you can easily calibrate it in eTakeoff. So another really powerful tool in eTakeoff is the ability to use eTakeoff's pattern search, or what others might call auto count, to be able to count for you very quickly, very easily. So I'll go in here, do a quick count of these piers and just show you how that works. Really speeds up estimating time and really helpful there. So what I need to do here is I will go into my drawing here. I will click Start Resume in my pattern search pane at the top. And then I can select what symbol or text that I want to search for. So I'll grab this here. It's going to pull up the item I'm searching for. And then I can search in this product. I can search multiple pages at a time if I want to. I can also search multiple drawing areas. So I can select specific areas of drawings that I want it to search if I don't want to search entire drawings. So in this instance, I just have one drawing area for this entire drawing here on this foundation plan. I do have the ability, if I had something with the directionality, to search all 4 rotations. So if you had a toilet or doors or something with the different directionalities, makes it easy there. You can also set the percentage of review here. So how wide a scope do you want it to get on what it's searching for? Different symbols might have, you know, a round border like this pier, for instance. You could find, you know, different, you know, door numbers and window numbers with that same sort of symbol search if you wanted it to. I do go in and I need to, you know, select what trace it needs to go to. So the last one we were working on was that interior wall. So I can simply go in here and I can select a trace that I want it to connect with. So just kind of like your Sage estimating databases here. It's just a little tree with different folders for different spec sections. But you can go in and select and organize them however you need to. Select which trace you want it to go to. So once I have that trace associated, I simply hit search. And you'll see down in my lower right, I've got pattern search pane turned on, and it's counting up for me. eTakeoff will count in the background. So if you knew you had a ton of pages to search for certain items and you knew it might take a while because there's a lot of items to find, it allows you to do other takeoff while it's counting for you. So another ease of use and efficiency benefit there. So once it's done, I can double click my binoculars here and take a quick review. So it'll pull up everything it found with eTakeoff pattern search. This is a patented capability here to read multiple layers of lines and blacks and whites to get you the ultimate ultimate specificity in your search. So you'll see I've got a few walls and so forth on some of these peers. So can't take the estimator away from the estimate. You really got to have that your own eyes on it too. But it'll pull some things up in white that it thinks that it might be what you're looking for. The things that it's really sure about, it'll pull up in green. But you can, at the same time, deselect some of these if you did your own visual search and were like, nope, that's not what I wanted. But what you can do is review on this drawing as well. So it gives you a good picture of what it found. Again, those green items in green, the white items turn red here on the drawing. So you have the ability at this point to click and add these red items into your search if you wanted to. Alternatively, you can go back to this Start Resume page, and I can just simply select, do a Shift Select here, and select all of the rest that I want to include in my search, and then I save it. And once I save it, it then identifies it with that red dot that I have identified with this peer trace there. So again, that measurement summary, you see what it counted to right there. And at this time, I can then go in and I could add this over, for instance, to my 100 contractor estimate. So I will go in here and pop that back open here. So I haven't put in my my assembly in here, so I'm just going to go in and do a quick pick for that peer, populate my 100 contractor estimate, and again I'm going to go and grab this quantity for this assembly over from eTakeoff. So I'll select that and I will bring it back. And there we have the 244 peers quantified, just like we did in eTakeoff. Hitting that calculate button allows us to calculate the rest of all of the items that are included in that assembly. Same thing, I hadn't clicked calculate for my walls above, but we'll do the same thing there. And then notice too, as I go through this, there's a little blue tick on each row here. That just gives me a little identifier that my quantities came from eTakeoff. So some things you may be keying in yourself, but some you may just take from your digital takeoff. So that gives you a nice differentiator to say, hey, you could actually go back and view where that came from. So when I go back and view that, it is going to highlight that takeoff that I'm reviewing straight from my estimate. So it makes it really easy to view back and forth both of them. Another way that you can get takeoff into basic estimating, if you didn't already have, so you didn't put an item or an assembly in here, you could actually do your takeoff and then you could actually drag and drop some of the takeoff into that spreadsheet. So for instance, perhaps I wanted to go and one of these plans, I've already done some takeoff on some flooring, for instance. So I can simply use eTakeoff's measurement summary or measurement list, and that will allow me to actually pull up all of the items. So eTakeoff keeps its own sort of spreadsheet of all of the takeoff here, but I can grab all of these items here for flooring or whatever I'm doing and actually drag and drop them into my estimating spreadsheet in 100. So if I go down here to the different flooring types, for instance, I can go in, let's just shift select the different base and the different tiles there. And then I will float this. So you can float these screens so that they always stay on top in eTakeoff. And then if I was to pull up my estimate, it'll stay on top of that estimate here as well. But I select everything, drag and drop it right over into my estimate, and then I am able to now see those quantities and their identifiers right within my estimate. So again, another easy way to quickly grab some takeoff and pull it into the estimate. With eTakeoff, they also make it really easy to copy within, so you can do a simple copy one by one. You could also, if you were working on a project that had, let's say, multiple, repetitions of the same assembly, same items, and so forth. What you can do is you can simply grab, let's say this carpet, we have this big project, 3 floors, it's a hotel, the floors virtually look the same. I could go and say, you know what, we don't have flooring on this 3rd floor plan. It looks exactly like the 2nd floor. What I can do is grab multi-select here, grab all of the flooring here. I've already done this, I've already pre-done this, but I just simply dragged and dropped it over into project favorites to the right here in this control panel. And it's gathered up all of my flooring into a folder for me. So you can see in this folder, I've got all of those floor types in there. And what I can do at this time is eTakeoff lets me drag and drop those right onto the next floor plan. So I'll go in, I'll grab the folder, and then I just align it to my drawing, and I set it on there, and I'm ready to go. I've got my, I've got more takeoff there. And then if you had some one-offs in this drawing, you could easily go in, edit these points, and make any modifications that you needed to. So another way that it brings a lot of efficiency to doing takeoff here. In the favorites as well, you can also do not only project favorites, but global favorites. So global favorites just means that you can use this same either takeoff, or you can put in different traces. So if you need quick picks on traces, you didn't want to go through your folder tree, you always used a certain foundation type or something like that, you could pull some of those favorite items over here and just have quick pick lists globally from project to project, so that you're not, you can share those and so forth with everybody. So this is a multi-user product as well. So with eTakeoff, you can have multiple estimators in the same exact project at the same time, as long as you have, if you have 2 estimators on the project, you have 2 licenses of the product. So licenses exactly the same way as the Sage products, concurrent uses and so forth. But it does make that easy for you guys to, if you had a quick bid coming through, need people to get some takeoff done right away, you could have multiple people in there. With eTakeoff, they've recently added in some functionality called work zones. So those allow you, let's say you had a phased project, for instance, you could complete all of the takeoff at the first go around at this, at the same time, and you could split them out into what's called work zones. So again, just like those bounding boxes with the setting the scales on the drawings, I simply drag and drop 2 clicks of my button, and I have my work zones in there. So I've got a work zone, maybe phase 2 of this parking lot or this project, for instance, here. And what that will do is that will allow me to have this work zone report, and I can review all of the takeoff that is specifically in phase 2. So it'll split it out for you. So with eTakeoff, there's quite a bit of development that's always happening in the product. It's very forward thinking. In the next release coming out here in the next couple months or so, they're bringing in some really exciting features. I can't quite reveal those, but really, really making your estimating efficient is what they're all about here. So with that, I did, this is just kind of a tip of the iceberg of everything in here. There's a lot of capabilities that kind of gives you the key, points of everything. But other things you can do within this. There's annotations. You can hyperlink drawing to drawing. You can put other types of annotations in here as well. You can even sketch in here as well. So you can create what's called a grid drawing and do kind of a scaled sketch within it and do some takeoff there. So some more functionality, coming and so forth, but it really makes it easy to be able to add to your drawings if you don't have a drawing for something and so forth. And then further collaboration. So with multi-users, it might be important either for yourself or for your team members to, review a project issue list. So you could actually flag some project issues for yourself or for a team member very easily in here, and put a deadline to something, for instance. So just an idea there. Now it builds this up here and so forth. One thing to note about Takeoff here too is that it does generate a key for you every time you create your takeoff. So makes it easy if you have field teams, you need to give them some understanding of what to build where and what quantities. You can print these drawings out and share them with your field team members as well with the auto-created keys and so forth. So some other things, that extra drawing window I spoke about right here, adding control panels, you can do that here as well. But again, that gives you kind of a high level view of eTakeoff for 100 Contractor and also eTakeoff for Sage Estimating. With Sage Estimating, the Takeoff does connect with what's called the eTakeoff Bridge because it brings in your full Sage Estimating database with that product. And that goes a little bit further into actually reading all of the takeoff you've done on every single page in your document set. And with a click of a button, you automatically send everything over to the estimate. So there's no dragging and dropping, there's no grabbing quantities, just makes it even faster to bring takeoff over into your estimating spreadsheet. So with that, that really concludes what I wanted to cover for the most part today. As I mentioned at the beginning, if you guys have any questions, feel free to post them here in the Q&A. I'll leave a couple minutes here to do that. You can always contact me, individually as well if you would like to have another conversation about any of these products. But let me grab our contact info here while we're waiting for any questions. So my emails here at the top, our direct line to connect with myself or anybody else in our company is there as well. We always keep our YouTube page updated. Kevin Edgington has done several webinars, or not webinars, but short videos on eTakeoff, even eTakeoff for Sage 100 Contractor. So if you want even a little bit more detail, view our YouTube page. We have additional webinars and classes upcoming as well. If you guys are Sage Estimating users at all, not to be confused again with the basic estimating for 100, but if you're a Sage Estimating user, Kevin has a webinar coming up tomorrow on the new buyout tool for Sage Estimating. So that'll be a really good one to attend if that is of any interest or use to you and your company. Yeah, I thank you guys so much for joining me today. It looks like I do have a question that came in here. Can you tell me the difference between 100 Basic Estimating and Sage Full Estimating? Yeah, that's a good question. There's quite a few differences. There's similarities, as you kind of see as well. Both essentially have a database behind them. Sage Estimating has a few extra optimal tools. Sage Estimating, whether or not you're doing a budget estimate or a very detailed estimate, it has much more functionality in it. So Sage Estimating has what's called smart assemblies, which are really helpful to know that, to make sure you're not leaving anything out of your estimate, for instance, and standardizing your estimating team. So smart assemblies essentially know what to ask you next about what you're estimating, rather than just being a static list of items. It'll say if you're taking off a concrete slab, for instance, it'll say, is there color in the slab, yes or no? If you say yes, it'll say, well, what kind of color is it? Or hey, what kind of finish is on this? Is it a broom finish? Is it polished concrete, and so forth? So it'll ask you questions based on your inputs. With Sage Estimating as well, there's a really great conceptual estimating tool in it called Models for Sage Estimating, not to be confused with BIM models. That is just a series of questions, high-level questions about your project, especially if you have a napkin sketch, you don't know a lot of detail. You can essentially get an estimate out conceptually very quickly in a matter of a minute or two with that tool. There's also crew estimating in it for folks that estimate in crews, man hours, unit prices, and so forth. It handles alternates in a different way as well, so a little bit different ways to organize your data in there. And then you also have the ability to use a pre-built database either without or with cost information. So like you need an RS means, you could get an RS means database with that cost data, for example. Further with Sage Estimating, if you work with designers that use 3D models, it will connect also through eTakeoff's bridge. It will connect to either Navisworks or Assemble for 3D BIM estimating. So that's just a few little things. There's more differences as well, but that gives you an idea of how the two products differ. All right, well, I will go ahead and conclude our session today, but thank you guys for joining me. Feel free to contact me anytime, and hope you guys have a great rest of your day.